don't hate do that thing.
Let's go, bro. Stay by curious.
Stay by curious.
Ooh, yeah.
Welcome, everyone. This is the SS Customs Under Wraps podcast. Today we have a very special guest, none other than Nick, the man from Palladium Auto Body. He is one of the San Francisco Bay Area's renowned auto body shops, specializing in custom and everything else. But I'll let him get into that later. Today we're going to be talking about a couple different subjects. We'll jump into that real soon. First off, I want to go ahead and let you guys, thank you guys for tuning in to SS Customs Under Wraps podcast. This is the podcast for everything in the wrap world culture, automotive culture, through our lens when we look at the industry, lifestyle, and the automotive culture and beyond. So we're going to be getting into that. I have my wonderful co-host here today, AJ Jackson.
So thankful.
AJ's right here with us. And we have none other than Nick. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're tuning in right now. I don't want to ask again. Okay. So, Nick.
And today's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Today's going to be a little different.
Okay, go for
so
it.
Nick was saying before, a lot of podcasts, especially us too, with the last ones, we like chopping it up, just kind of chit-chatting, but he definitely wants to make sure that this one we add some value. So we're going to go over some key points that we feel are educational, going to help you out in some form or fashion. That way, if he's giving his time, he's going to make sure it's worth your time. You feel me? So
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. All right, Nick. Let's jump into who is Nick, the silent one. Not really. Go for it.
What would you like to know?
Nick. All right, so
Man, what kind of answer was
I know
what kind of response was that? What would
a-
you like to know?
What would you like? That was so like trying to be mysterious and
Bruh,
stuff.
this is the second time we're doing this podcast, and the whole reason is because the first time, man's like, I didn't like my energy, and then this is the first thing I was about. What would you like to know? What kind?
Hey, I gotta warm up, man.
All right. Warm up, goddamn. We've been here for a long time. All right. But Nick is someone who, just to give you guys a little bit more background on Nick from my perspective, he's someone that has become close friends with me over time. I've known him for about pushing, 8-10 years now.
Yeah.
But it's been a cool minute, and he's jumped into the automotive world via automotive refinishing. And we have been using his services for several years now. And first time I used him, I realized how much OCD he had, which I really admired when it came to that type of work. And I've been using him ever since. And now he's the only one that really gets to work on my personal cars when it comes to paint refinishing. So that is Nick in a small nutshell from my perspective. But there's a lot more layers to peel back. So
Where are you
Nick,
from?
where you from?
What's your social security number? Credit score?
Credit score.
666. That's social security.
You might need to work on that, bro.
Not the credit. Credit's slightly better.
You need to work on that, bro.
Credit is a little bit better.
It's a little bit.
Like 670.
Oh my God.
Hey man, it's a tough immigrant life, man.
Oh, immigrant. Okay, see, we getting somewhere.
See, there he's peeling back a layer. There we go.
There it is. Where'd you immigrate from?
Okay. Hi everyone. My name's Nick.
4 minutes in.
I do paint cars for a living. Well, not personally, but I run the team. I was born and raised in Moscow. Came here when I was 20 years old for college. Ended up in software actually for a hot minute, and collision was actually an accident. I wrecked my friend's car. One thing led to another, and he didn't have full coverage. He only had liability insurance, and yeah, so it's quite a long of a story, but it had a lot to do with internal politics in Russia and exchange between U.S. dollar and ruble, and my friends being investment bankers and their salaries being tied to U.S. dollar, and so they were trying to invest money into the U.S., but at the same time they were young guys at that time. They were like, 25, 26, so they couldn't really do anything. I was doing real estate tech at a time, so they couldn't really invest into what I was doing day to day. but I offered them this body shop opportunity because somebody reached out to me through my Muay Thai gym, and they said, you know what, we're not gonna. We love dodgy stuff, but even for us, a body shop is a little too dodgy. They were exact words. And then fast forward 5 months later, I crashed that car. I reached back out to that guy and I say, hey man, you know what? Why don't we try something out? And so we got a little hobby shop in Marin. It was shared between a guy that was doing some mechanical work and a guy that was doing some woodworking. And that's where we started. And I realized at a time that I actually enjoy it. And yeah, 9 months later, we were able to found a shop in Hayward. It wasn't necessarily by choice. We were trying to stay in the peninsula, but we're talking like 2015. So commercial market was rather hot on the peninsula. Couldn't find anything here for reasonable amounts of money. So found a shop in Hayward, and we made it home. So we've been there ever since. And Hayward changed quite a bit. We grew quite a bit, and well, here we are.
So what sets your shop aside? So he just spoke about like quality, but you know, like what sets your shop aside from the others? What do you do to kind of like strive for that quality?
A retarded owner.
Oh, retarded.
Oh my God.
I like repeated it softly because I couldn't process what he said.
Oh my God.
Well, hey, everybody, what's the saying? Like, always make sure that you hire people that are smarter than you. I guess that's an easy goal for you.
For me, it was the easiest thing ever. That was it.
All right.
We could say he was probably just a slow learner.
So, okay, so you said that you don't work on the cars yourself. My experience here with Shareef is that Shareef was the other way around. He started out the business doing all of the work, but you came in immediately from like an oversight point of view.
I believe that Shareef's probably one of the greatest strengths is the ability to see the operations from the ground up and the ability to teach techs from the ground up. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury, and the industries are completely different, right? So rap is a baby industry, right? So what are we talking about? 15 years tops, 10 probably overall.
The restyling side of it, probably about 15 years on the restyling. Like really, like people really starting to dive in from birth, essentially. But yeah,
automotive repair is arguably a century old, right?
Yeah.
Just
little
give or take for the sake of this argument.
Yeah.
So it's also it's very multidimensional, right? So there is a big distribution between different technicians, right? So you have your R&I techs, which you guys have as well, remove and install, right? Somebody who takes the car apart, puts it back together.
Yeah.
You have your body techs, and then you have within the body techs, you have your journeyman, people that can do frame, people that can do, composite materials, people that can do quarter panel replacements, right? So somebody who can do full spectrum, safety components, suspension. You have people that can only do, let's say, door skins or just some easy filler work, right? Then you have your paint. You have your painter, the guy who's capable of matching colors, mixing colors, applying the color properly, right? Matching texture. That's a big thing for me, right? Is make sure that the texture is consistent across all the panels.
So all these things that you've mentioned thus far, all of this is a part of your business.
Correct.
So you do all of these
so
things.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and that's not something I can go ahead and teach from ground up. So unfortunately, that's what Shareef's greatest strength is. Probably my biggest struggle is to be able to vet out the proper techs. And that's what I taught myself how to see without actually knowing how to do it with my own hands. I know what it takes to do the job right, and what to look for in a technician, what questions to ask, right? I can pretty much do the whole process without physically doing it with my own hands.
Yeah.
And I pretty much run the office. For better or for worse, I'm the face of the company, so I'm the talking head.
Leaning on the worst side, sometimes.
He's a bobblehead.
So the number one thing.
One of those dash thingies,
Dash thingy. So the number one way that you started to focalize on quality was just learning how to vet the employees and people that you hired to figure out who
Yeah.
can do the most quality work.
Pretty much. And early on, you know, I could see people mess up over and over again. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what are they doing wrong? What is? I just try to. So any any collision or paint work is ultimately right. If you dissect it,
Yeah.
it's just chemicals on chemicals on chemicals on chemicals, right? So it's one big sandwich of different chemicals that you apply in the proper sequence.
Yeah.
And if you follow the instructions, it turns out beautiful.
So-
If you mess up somewhere along the way, you get all sorts of issues. So, and that's something that you guys see here with, you know, factory paint peels and all that stuff. That's ultimately improper application. That's all it is, or not following the proper steps to
So for
to
those
get to the final step.
for those that are watching, right? You've had years of
For all
being
three,
able
for all three of you.
for all three people watching.
love, much
you know, to my mother, I appreciate you showing your support. So for the people that
To my guinea pigs, my son's guinea pigs.
Oh.
Thank you for watching.
to the haters, you know, shout out.
Those are the
guinea
big time
pigs.
watchers.
Those
Thank
are the
you.
guinea
Thank you.
Man. So for the few people that are watching, because they said we're going to bring them value, you've had years of experience of seeing where people can go wrong or do whatnot, but they are going to be there as a client, right? So how can they see a good from a bad body shop? Like, what are things
Sure.
that they can look for?
Sure. Number one, I'd say reviews, right? So that's in today's day and age.
Yeah.
You want to go online. You want to see what people say about a business, right? And if it's just 5 stars, right? It's easy, but you also want to kind of dive a little bit more into it and see, okay, are there any negative reviews, right? Why are there negative reviews? How is the business responding to those particular reviews? I would also look for the environment, right? I would walk in and see, is it clean? Is it organized, right? Does it look like people are moving in an organized fashion? Equipment, right? So unfortunately it all boils down to equipment. So in a day and age when it's getting harder and harder to find good technicians, you want to supplement them with proper equipment. So the number one, I guess, the church of a body shop is a paint booth, right? You want to make sure it's well maintained, nice, clean. The result, ask for, you know, a panel that's been just painted. See how it looks straight out of the gun without being polished, right? That's a big factor that I would personally look.
Do body shops offer tours to like clients? Isn't that like a hazard thing?
You can always.
you
I
ask
mean,
for
you
walkthrough?
can always ask, right? As long as there is a service advisor that's there with you, it's not a problem.
Okay. See, I would not have thought to even do that. So you-
I mean, it's actually really cool.
I wouldn't call it a tour, but
Yeah.
like, hey, you know what?
Simple
Can
walkthrough.
can I look at what you guys painted before? You know, do you have something that just been painted?
Yeah.
And I've had multiple people come in and ask. I'm like, yeah, here we go. Take a look.
He has a brand new booth. He could probably talk about that, but he's got a. I agree with you on the tools of the trade. You can really make up for some technicians who might have the most polished skill sets, but if they have the best tools in the trade, that could
They'll
definitely
shine.
give him an edge. And your paint booth is really nice. He gave me a walkthrough. It was really cool. It's all like, you know, modern and some Italian, I think I want to say, paint booth with downdrafts and everything else and custom lighting and all that kind of good stuff. So it's really cool to see what a painter sees inside their booth, especially a really good booth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, look at us. We're just bumbling about, but hey, our voice sounds good. You got the right tools of the trade.
There we go.
Exactly. Exactly. It makes a difference, man.
Okay, so what's so if they're looking for,
But at the
value
same
keys,
time, right? So those are, it's kind of hard. It's a very complex subject here that we're really getting into,
Yeah.
right? Some of the best paying jobs that I've personally seen come out of garages, right? Come straight out of people that are doing it in their backyards.
Those are talented painters.
Yeah, with some tarp, and you know the dust is there.
Yeah.
They just don't disturb it. Like
Yeah.
that's also an approach, right? The place is filthy, but they know where the dust is
Yeah,
and how it affects the airflow and whether it's in a way, and they just don't touch it.
yeah,
And there's plenty of artisans like this. So there is really no right or wrong answer, but if you're looking for a production facility, I'd say I would look for things that I would look in any other business, right?
Okay.
Cleanliness, reviews, structure. Just ask to look at how they do things, what they do. Just let your eyes be the judge.
For sure.
True. It's a good point to bring up. At least you give a shout out to all those talented artists out there that maybe don't have all the tools.
And don't need them.
Yeah, they don't need them. They're that good. But like you said, a production facility, you want to do work over and over again, multiple cars, you got things going in and out. You need to have.
You want to be able to replicate the
yes,
same quality.
You want to be able to do it every
out.
time, not just once, a project here and there, and then you build another one, then you spray that after a while. This is something that you got to do day in, day out. Interchange painters. That is multiple different talent levels of bodymen, as well as paint technicians, like I mentioned. So you have to have some singularity, something that's replicatable in that process. Same thing that happens here.
It's a
in
production
any
facility
industry.
at the end, right?
Exactly. You want to have some standards that people can run through. Okay, so what would you say would be something that differentiates? Let's say I'm going out. I just got a car. I want to get something repainted, refinish. I bought a new part for it, or something happens to mine. How do I choose? Let's say the best body shop. I know you said reviews. You said, what was another thing you mentioned? Walkthrough on there. Is there another or a third thing that you would recommend for someone to look at other than the reviews and the walkthrough of the shop?
Because people won't know.
What's an X factor that you feel like you have over everybody else? Have you identified it yet?
I think that would be the two major ones. I don't know if there is a third. I would ask for other people in the industry, right? But that's kind of a review, I guess, in a way, like a peer review.
I think.
Right? So somebody would come to you, they would ask, hey, you know what, who's painting your stuff? And you'd send them my way. So nobody, there's no stronger marketing than the word of mouth.
So I guess that would be a good wrap up to your question then.
Well, I would add one, not for just your industry, but I'd say for every industry that people don't necessarily follow through with is the customer service, right?
Okay.
So, for example, Scotty, you just had him on, right?
Yeah. Check out that podcast. That was Scotty Chops.
Yeah.
Awesome individual.
You were talking about some place may not look the most like finished or whatnot, but they know how to maneuver. Somebody may not have the newest tools. His are pre-World War, but he has like the most amazing products that come out. But
what
the
he
thing
does also is a dying art.
Exactly.
Right? There's
it is
very
actual
few
art.
people that do metal fab like he does.
But another part of that is that even I had no idea he was world renowned. I had zero idea. But his customer service, he didn't know me. He didn't know anything about me. I went to him. Customer service is out the wazoo. I mean, this man treated me like family out the gate. Went to you, right? Because we were talking about wide body in my car. You didn't know me from one person or another. I used to just told him, I was like, hey, I'm Shareef's boy. You know what's happening? And then like you treated me like family. That's about as far as it went.
I'm sure he's.
I mean, he may have rolled his eyes when he heard your name. You know what I'm saying? Like
Scotty Chops is very like cool, chill, calm, collective.
Yeah.
He will also treat you very nicely, but with a very blunt, dark humor side to him. So, what the you want to do that for? But
I mean, like it's real because like
I'm trying.
Only when he gets to know you. Only when he gets to know you.
I'm trying to be helpful, right? That's another thing, right? I would never want you to spend money on something they'll wouldn't turn out 100% to begin with. If I know that I can't do for whatever reason, right? If there are any limiting factors, I'll let you know up front, and I'll say, hey man,
and he did.
we can't do it 100%. This probably can be done 90%. But I'll still will have to charge you like it's 100%. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to do that or not. I don't want to take somebody's money and then see the disappointment in their eyes. There's nothing more discouraging.
Communication and clarification.
There's nothing more discouraging than
setting expectations.
That comes back to customer service.
Sure.
Like y'all got to take that into account because somebody who won't put in the effort to give you good customer service is not going to put in the effort on the back end either, right? Like you want somebody, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I heard that on another podcast. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. The way you treat somebody is the way you're going to do this. The way you work on a single part of this car is the way you're going to work on every car. So definitely, I think people should follow more through with how they allow a business to treat them. Oh, hell. What happened?
I know there's some dark humor rattling up there.
No, can I say it? Can I not say it? Should I say it?
Hey, right.
Should I not
I don't
say
know,
it?
man. What? Oh my God. Go ahead.
What I miss?
No, nothing.
Wasn't even a fucking...
No, nothing. I can't say that.
Okay, cool.
can't
He's
say
he's retracting his
Yeah, I
his
can't say
mental
that.
statement in his
I
own
can't-
mind.
I can't
See,
say
look,
that.
bro, we're not doing a third shoot. I don't know. So you better let whatever go because you ain't coming back. Be like, nah, man, my energy.
He's
wasn't
like,
right.
man, I shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Hey,
Too
I was
late.
sick. Hey,
Too
I
late.
was sick. There's a difference between just spitting out a bunch of non-PC shit and being basically 105
Yeah.
degree fever sick. So
For sure.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a little bit. This is a question for me because I'm always curious about like on the business owner standpoint, right? So this is your
bikers.
fuck, dude. I'm like, I didn't even know what to say to that. He said, "Back curious." Right, that's exactly where my head just went, just empty. From a business owner standpoint, this is your podcast, right? So I feel like if it's a little heavier for you, but even as a business owner who's coming on to a podcast, how much do you all have to worry about being the face of your company on here? Like, do you have to be like, oh, I don't want to say certain things because if I say something that's too polarizing, it's going to affect my business or my clientele or whatnot? Are you of the play it safe side, or are you more the Andy Frisella side and it's like, I'm going to be 100% authentic me regardless if people don't like it because that's what my clientele love about me is that I'm so authentic. So which side? Are you the play it safe side or are you the play it me side?
I'm probably somewhere in between.
Sounds like
Because my true self is rather very raw. So I don't think, unless we're friends, you really need to know that side of me. But at the same time, I'm not gonna put a mask on and pretend to be something that I'm not. I just kind of filter and just pull the handbrake a little bit on the 100% myself, and I give it 80%, and it's still pretty edgy, right? A lot of people still think I'm pushing the envelope, but it's all in the name of good love and good energy. So it's never to offend anyone, right? Even if we have polarizing views, it's never to bring you down. It's more of a, hey, let me give you another perspective.
Great. And what about you, since this is more, especially because like everybody watching this directly is associated with you and your business, what's been your plan
I think
of
you
attack?
have to. I like to be authentic. This is the way I am in normal life. Especially the more you get to know me, the more I act like this. In the beginning, when you talk to me, I might be a little bit more polished, more business level minded, just because we're here for business most of the time. I'm talking to someone here, the client perspective, industry perspective. But as soon as we put back a couple layers and then we get to know each other, that's how kind of like my persona is on the podcast. Especially the more we do them, the more it'll start to showcase, right? But in terms of what we talk about, subject-wise, you have to be able to refrain from certain things in this day and age in terms of subjects. You have to walk a certain type of line, I want to say. Nowadays, especially as a business owner. If I wasn't a business owner, if I didn't care about this, that, and the other, I was made, whatever, you could probably speak a lot more freely on things that could be a little bit more polarizing or controversial. But as a business owner, and I believe this is probably most people in high status or stature or businesses or anything else that you could probably say, they have to tread a different line where there's certain things that you could talk about at Thanksgiving table, right? But you can't really talk about it all the time because there's a time and a place for certain conversations. So in that respect, I would say, this is as authentic as you're going to get me mass majority of the time, unless you're really, really close and we can understand each other and have an open dialogue where we won't piss each other off because we can understand and be relatable and we're still friends at the end of the day, right? Yeah. But those types of conversations in open settings where everybody can be part of it, you gotta pick and choose your battles. You know what I mean?
I feel it.
But we're also in an area where people are rather extremely sensitive. right? And even though they try to say they're open-minded, unless you align your views with their views, that whole open-minded statement really is worthless, right? So you kind of have to be, if your views don't necessarily align with the views of the mass of this particular geographic area, you kind of don't want to go there because it can get messy.
You know what? Nowadays, everything's a sensitive subject, right? To somebody. So unfortunately, it's that way. I don't think I. You know, a lot of times adults say that when they get older, like, "Oh, it wasn't like this back in my day." You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, hey, man,
But I feel like it's
I'm
more
not
and
even
more like
30, and it's like that. Like, it wasn't like this back in my day. Like, when I was a young buck kicking rocks, like, it wasn't even like this.
I feel like people had a lot more thick skin back in the day, and nowadays anything is gonna hurt anybody's feelings. For some weird reason, you have to respect everybody's whatever, even if it's a controversial view on anything, right? So it's like, okay, I guess we just keep on trucking.
As a business owner, you're voting with your wallet, right? So do you really want to go there and risk potential consequences for your business?
That's the biggest thing, right?
Or do you want to just, play it safe?
It's different when you're a one-man shop, right? Let's just say if I was just me doing my thing, I was busy, I was booked.
Okay, hold on.
I know my
It doesn't
clients,
make it, okay, let's put it this way.
But when you're responsible for multiple people, your family, maybe you have employees, maybe you have multiple employees and their families and respective, you really have to understand that you're responsible for many people as the face of your company. He was talking about.
But does it make you less genuine? Does it make you a pussy, right? Like,
that's why you got to find the right balance.
Here's the question.
Don't bring up certain things that you shouldn't be talking about. Be yourself all the time, but learn where to take your conversation. You know what I mean? There's certain places you don't have to talk about everything. You know what I mean?
True.
I'm looking at far into the spectrums. I'm looking at like Gary Vee and Andy Frisella, who just dive off the deep end and it's just like fuck everything.
No. They talk vulgar.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about how they say something, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, they're very genuine in the way they speak in that way.
Yeah.
But they are smart about what topics they pick to talk about.
Okay.
So if you listen to Gary Vee, he's very strict with his social media and marketing and empowering people on making the right decisions in this new age of marketing yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you look at people like Andy Frisella, he's just no holds barred. Don't be a little pansy. Pick your stuff up and go.
Filter yourself there?
Yeah. I did filter myself there. Put on your big boy pants or big girl, whatever, and just go out there and kick some butt, right?
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to tell everyone out there is just, make sure that you have the fortitude to get out there and do what you do. But he doesn't talk about anything other than that. He doesn't stray out of that line. So I think that's the day and age we live in, and that's fine. Everybody's got something that they could talk about and keep in their lane. So, I mean, that's probably the best way, I think, for both of us to answer that question for you.
Well, then there you go. You're going to start your own business, going to run a business, be authentic, but learn how to navigate conversations to still tread water in certain areas. So.
Yeah. I mean, you always got to still know that you have the power to say no, right? And that goes in the context of conversation too, right? You control that. So the storybook and the narrative for the outer world is still for you as a business owner or entrepreneur or whatever it is that you want to be.
Don't go broke arguing something that doesn't matter.
Facts.
Yes.
I love the way you put that.
Yeah. Simply said.
Well, then to navigate the conversation back, because I'll stay on entrepreneurship all the time, but to navigate the conversation back to you and your industry, for once again,
we don't have to.
No,
right?
I know,
we can have a much broader
No,
conversation.
I get that.
For sure, 100%. But there was something that we spoke about before even starting that you actually personally brought up, and it was something that people could look for when actually purchasing vehicles that a lot of people wouldn't even think to know. And I've learned something from our detail people too that I'll mention after I hear what you're.
Yeah, we both got a decent, choice in cars, and we've, a lot of the cars you have, cars that I have are pre-owned because they're a specific type of car I'm looking.
They just don't make them anymore.
Yeah, for a long time. So when you're going out there and looking for a car, let's just say somebody out here is watching, like, damn, I want to go buy this car. I'm about to go buy this car. I'm planning on buying this car. What do they look for and what can they look out for if they had what you had in your mind?
Sure.
In terms of knowledge
I feel like this information is really useful for about everyone, right? Whether you're trying to buy a 05 Toyota Corolla or a I don't know, Ferrari 250 GTO, right? The overall principles are more or less the same, all right? And what I would look for paint-wise, right, is just the overall condition of the finish, right? Does it look consistent? Because if the car was painted from factory, right, at any given point, all the panels should look consistent, right? Do the panels look consistent? Does color look consistent? Does natural wear look consistent? Here in California, we have a pretty harsh UV exposure, so you'd see some level of fading, which doesn't mean that it's faded through and you have clear coat failure, but let's say, is the sheen consistent across all the panels, right? Keep in mind that horizontal panels are exposed to sun more, so roof, hood, trunk might have a little bit more of a wear than the vertical panels.
And what that consistency shows you is that if the car's been repainted in certain areas or not. So
when you say finish, you mean like fogginess? Is that what you're saying?
It can be,
or just a UV.
It can be fogginess. It can be, just the overall scratches. Does everything look consistent? When you look at the car, does it look like every single panel is aging evenly?
What about orange peel?
Actually, I love that topic.
What is orange peel?
People say orange peel this, orange peel that. Somehow, orange peel became a negative thing. And what all orange peel genuinely is, it's basically flow of the clear coat, right? There's nothing wrong about orange peel. I love a healthy orange peel, like Porsches. They have nice stretched out orange peel. So the Rolls Royces, right? They're a little bit flatter, but still nice flow. Lamborghinis, Ferraris, nice, consistent, but fairly heavy orange peel. I like it, right?
What is orange peel?
Orange peel, it's your final layer, final coat of paint, of clear coat, and it's the way it reflects the shine, right? So the way it reflects the light. So you look at a flat panel and you see kind of like slight waviness to it, which is normal, right? That's how it flows. That's how you lay clear coat.
Yeah, when you look at the skin of an orange, you notice there's in the peel there's
divots.
It's little divots, slightly wavy. It's not smooth like glass, obviously. So I think that's where painters got the term orange peel.
Correct.
And there's different variants of it. You could have very little orange peel or something a little bit more moderate. And if it's probably the painter's skill level or the tools weren't that good, you might have really, really heavy orange peel. So
again, consistency is something to look for. Do all the panels look the same?
That's why I brought it up.
Dry spots. Do you see flat spots? Right. Does anything look?
How would you see either of those? How would you see a dry spot? How would you see a flat spot? And I'm actually asking because I've known all the questions that we've been asking so far, but I have no idea how to see either of those.
Again, consistency, right? You look at the panel that, just to best of your knowledge, looks factory.
Yeah.
And you just use it as a template. And you look at other panels. Okay, does it look like the clear coat is consistent?
No, but I'm saying, like, what is a dry spot? Like, how do I see if something? I don't even know what that means.
I see.
Because the car's dry.
It'll be difficult to explain. We would need to overlay some things. I guess,
drop a picture.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to do it after the fact. I'll show which one is which.
Okay, so for our beautiful producer, please drop a picture of a dry spot here, and then what was the other one? You said dry spot and what? A flat spot.
Flat spot.
Flat spot.
Orange
There,
peel.
there we go.
spot.
So we'll drop pictures of all three of those so y'all can kind of see.
Pinholes.
Dry spot.
Pinholes.
We'll have a collage over the screen, bro.
Another thing, whether it's factory or quality secondary refinish, all the moldings, all the glass, all the trims come off the vehicle, right? So if you see any sort of paint or clear coat overspray on those panels, that means that the vehicle wasn't properly disassembled.
What's overspray and how do you see it?
Overspray is basically kind of misting of color or clear coat on glass, belt moldings, body moldings, gaskets, rubbers, chrome trim.
Gotcha.
Basically any signs that when the vehicle was painted, those items were not properly removed.
A lot of times when I'm looking at, older or classic cars, especially if I'm maybe at a car show, in the market to go buy one, I'm looking at that rubber edge, which is rubber seals generally, because a lot of painters, if they save time, they won't take the windshield glass out, or they won't take out certain rubber moldings that are attached to other pieces of glass or trim. And if I can spot the paint on the very leading edge of that rubber, that's a good sign that it's been repainted and somebody didn't remove XYZ part to do it. So I think that's what you're referring to.
Correct.
As a paint line, but also overspray from what you're saying is just the mist of the paint farther than that point that I'm talking about.
Correct. Or it
That's
can
more
be
so
that
on
it can be that point as well. That's overspray too.
Okay. Yeah. So so you're looking for signs like that as somebody you're trying to buy something.
Correct.
If you are.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So here's something that I wouldn't know. How would I know if somebody is screwing me over on pricing? We'll just call around and just see what the average price is of every shop, or like
that's on pricing of
for what you do.
Oh, like painting a car.
Yeah. So like, because I was calling shops when I was looking into mine, because there's even right now I have a fender right now that has some chips on it, just because I'm on bags, fucked my shit up. Thank you, Scotty, for helping. Even now, it's like I don't know who's actually giving me a fair price. Like I can call around and I can get a general average, but with a body shop, there's so far in pricing. Like
there is no general average.
Yeah, that's the issue. So it's like, how do I know when I'm not getting screwed? Like
that's a tough one, right? You kind of have to trust.
Okay. Damn, I don't have a lot of
because
that.
just because somebody charges you $300 or $3,000, they're both right. It's just you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And to someone, $300 is already more than enough, and to some, $3,000 would still be short of their expectations.
Yeah.
So paint and body work is just such a complex subject that you can do it for $300 and be okay, and you can do it for $3,000 and still come short of one's expectations. So it all comes down to having a dialogue and understanding the customer's needs ahead of time.
Yeah, because I'm a big believer in buy right, buy once.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to the trifecta model of cheap, quality, speed.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Pick two.
And you
exactly. Pick two.
Or, in terms of in our industry, for what we do, for example, wrapping cars, right? Or clear bra or paint correction detailings or whatever else it is, right?
A homie of mine can do it for $2,000.
Exactly.
How many times have you heard that?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I heard this guy could do it for $1,000 or for $1,500. Well, damn, he's gonna change the whole color of your car for $1,500. Yeah, man. Where is he doing it? Oh my, his garage or this or that, or he's done it 5 times before, whatever have you, right? Versus someone who's got 20 members on staff, a huge facility, the best top of the line tools that they've been aggregating for 15, 20 years, and they know all the tips and tricks to make sure they execute right?
Yeah.
And then, but the price is gonna come with that. So you have everything in between.
Also the peace of mind.
And the peace of mind and the quality and the reassurance
Insurance.
and the insurance and
Right?
everything else, right? So you have to pay for all those things if you want it, right? So same goes with a restaurant that you might choose to eat food at. You might get bubble guts from one and you might not get it from another one, but you might make a selective choice on where you go. So it goes down to almost any industry, anything you think of. It's like, I guess you're going to always be able to have that type of model. Yeah. But in the paint industry, I have done that too, but my rule of thumb is I usually call 3 people that are well reviewed, have really, or been referred to me by someone who's like, man, they did a great job, which is how we found, let's say a poultry shop that we really like was referred to us by someone. And so on and so forth. So if we're finding all these, you're landing in one of those things, my personal rule of thumb is always check with my cross-reference for 3 different people in that industry that I'm trying to get. And after talking with 3 people, visiting their facility maybe, like you said, or talking to them over the phone or getting a feel, I go with my gut at the end of the day. And I don't think your gut most of the time is correct. And because you have a natural inclination, I think you have your human instincts kick in and you can tell if somebody's trying to pull you this way or that way. But if you only call one shop and you feel uneasy, then you don't really know because you have nothing to gauge it against. Yeah. So I think
it also depends on a project, right?
Yeah.
Painting a fender is one thing. Doing a huge wide body project that takes up space is another thing. And if I'm, call it, backed up for the next 6 months with your just regular day-to-day work, and you want to do a wide body project, right? I'm just going to give you a fuck you pricing. right? If you take it, you take it,
Yeah.
right? Fair, I'll do it. If you
Yeah.
don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. So that's a lot of shops practice that technique,
Yeah.
and basically just pricing something 1.5 times, twice as much as it truly costs,
Yeah.
just because amount of pain.
So
that it
give
will
people
take to go.
context. Why do that? So let's just say I'm a aftermarket, or I'm a kid. I want to build this, or I got this crazy project where I want to do wide body kit, and I'm calling around these shops, and they're fully capable. I see their work, I know that, but they're always giving me these FUs of pricing, right? And I'm getting pissed off about it. Like, damn, why is everybody charging me this much money to do it? I've seen it happen over and over in the industry, not just your paint industry, but in our shop, for people who come to service us, for other things, suspension, tires, whatever, right? Wheels, custom wheels, and you're doing different things. Why is it that you do the FU pricing as from a business owner standpoint?
Okay, so any big project, you generally have the smallest margins possible. Rule of business, you get them in, you get them out. So the more volume you can get through your door, ultimately the more money you make, right? We're oversimplifying everything right now. Any sort of big projects, they sit. That means that in that amount of time that I can do 30 fender benders, I'm gonna build one wide body project. That means that I have a technician allocated to it day in, day out, right? Measuring, cutting, welding, sealing, fusing, this, that, a lot of things. Then also, a lot of things can go wrong, right? If you're painting a fender and a bumper at a time, done, out. Any sort of wide body project, as a rule of thumb, you're painting the whole car because you're fusing if you're doing basically bolt-on, not
Over
as much.
fenders
If
or
it's
something.
over fenders, it's not as much. Still close to, right? Because usually it's custom rear bumper, custom front bumper, 4 over fenders, canards, this, that, probably blending hood. It's pretty close to it. So a lot more things can go wrong in the process, right? And
It's all
especially
custom.
It's all custom. You're talking about metal, fiberglass, plastic, all together. They expand at different rates. Just a whole lot of things that can potentially go wrong. And you want to, as a business owner, you want to cushion yourself, right? You want to make sure that even if things go wrong, you're still making money. So that's why you get the FU pricing, because it's just there's so many variables, there are so many things that can go wrong. It takes so much time, it takes so much space, right? And in California, that's probably one of the most important things is your real estate, is your production floor. So instead of going through, call it 10 cars in that particular stall a month, now you have 1 car in that stall for a 4-month. Somebody has to pay for it. And unfortunately, it
That's
falls,
actually a really good way to
falls
put
on a
it.
customer's
I
shoulders.
mean, if even sometimes I forget that simple fact of you have real estate you pay for, and if a car is staying there for an extended period of time, who's paying for
It's
that
my
time?
it's ultimately becomes
I mean,
my.
you still got to
my
pay
cost.
for it at the
Correct.
end of the day.
Correct.
For that real estate or that spot in that building in San Francisco Bay Area is not cheap, right? So I get it. It makes sense.
It's
The
actually-
reason why I ask that question is because people ask, they want to do projects with us or they want to do projects with you, and we don't do insurance work per se, right? But I would still say, when it comes to body work and stuff like that, but I would still say that there's still a similar level of uncertainty. Even though you might say, okay, yeah, this is insurance work, it's simple, we do the same thing, this and that. And to give you some context, like when you're doing insurance work, let's say on a body, brand new bumper, right? You got to repair something, you got to fix it. You buy this brand new OEM bumper from a manufacturer, Subaru, whatever. You put it in and it clicks. It just goes click, 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 click. Maybe some fine adjustments, and you're good, right? And then you screw everything in on the standard holes and wherever it goes, and you're getting a good fit, finish. Everything is manufactured OEM molds. You're solid. You did your repair, painting, you're out. Whereas customer comes in, comes out. When you get an aftermarket body kit, what we sell here, aftermarket aero performance body kits, this, that, and the other, they're all aftermarket molds, right? So they're either add-ons or additions or things like that. There's multiple different variables in the parts. You have FRP parts, you have fiberglass parts, you have different types of carbon fiber parts, so different types of manufacturing processes that are going to change the way and shape.
But
and
all of them fit like shit. All of them.
That's my point.
It doesn't matter whether
They're
you
not an
go
OEM
to like
part.
carid.com and buy a body kit for $1,500, or you call Mansory and spend
Spend
150,
75, yeah.
spend 150 grand, it still equally fits like shit.
Yeah, I would say even with some of the more expensive body kits, I was a little bit surprised with how they would fit and finish. And you have to still do, oh yeah, I paid a lot of money for this body kit. It should fit in. It should fit, just click right in. But no, it might not finish right.
Can
The
we have
paint
a
finish might not be right.
promotional minute?
Oh, you
I
want
wanna,
Brought
I
to
wanna,
you
I wanna, brought to you by Rift Co. I want to say shout out to my friend Lance at Rift Co. Their body kits fit like a fucking glove.
There you go,
make one for an Audi
Lance. You
and I'll
got
holler
it.
at you.
Proper shout out there, man.
Man, stop the whole podcast just for you, Jay.
Yeah, there you go, Lance. So Rift, they make exhaust systems, they make body kits, they make all kinds of stuff, and they're fit and finish from what you said. Since you're the body shop guy, you've been putting all the kits on. You said they're one of the better ones out there.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
So that's very good to know in terms of
Lance, let's make something happen. I think SF90, right?
Yeah.
We should build a full
let's
full
build
SF90.
more crazy cars, man. But that's a good shout out. Maybe we'll get him on the podcast soon. We could talk about it old times. But there's a
That would be interesting. I'd love to see that podcast. Yeah. That would be really good.
that would be cool.
That
man.
would be really good.
Let's see. You down? Go ahead, comment, man. Yeah, man. There's like body kits like Rift, and then there's many other body kits that are not the best fitting, and there are few and far between like that brand that's going to be able to fit on and click in and do the things right. But for the vast majority of body kits, they're not like that, right? They don't fit in properly. They don't do this. They don't do that. And they're working it, trying to figure it out. The box might come messed up. It might have a crack in the finish. Now you got to refinish it. Maybe you get a box. Oh, it's already it's clear coated. It's just ready to put my carbon fiber hood on. You put the hood on. There's a spot here. There's this there. You got to refinish this. I've seen it. I've seen it in really expensive body kits, and you still got to do it. So to answer a lot of the guys' questions out there, they're like, why does it cost so much money to put this body kit on, or do a wide body, do this, do that? Because you're dealing with a custom project, not factory click-in parts that are just going to be there. You got to maybe finish and repaint. This is all, you got to think of it, how it's going to do it. Now, if you repeat the process over and over and over and over again, like Nakai does with the RWB Porsche on a specific type of Porsche over and over and over again, you could do it with a cigarette in your mouth like he does and just be a boss and get it done. But if you don't do the process over and over and over and over again, and you're doing different types of cars all the time with different types of variables,
I still don't recommend
time,
sending fiberglass on a T-shirt. That's a questionable move.
You know what? He's a sap, man. I got to give him credit for what he can do. And there's a whole car culture built around what he can do. And there's different levels too. You have Gunther Works, you have people like RWB, you have Singer. They're all completely different ways of fabricating, a look or appeal for completely different styles of cultures, right, in the automotive world.
It's all very new though. So
it is new. All those guys are new.
I'd love to see how that trend ages over the next decade or so.
There was a couple companies back. There was Jimbala. There was a few other companies back in the days that used to do crazy wild kits like that. They're not around today, right?
Yeah, a friend of mine had a Carrera GT, Mirage, red.
Yeah,
it was sick.
Yeah, I mean, and they were polarizing back then, but people liked them, right? And today, still, you.
But
can
that was
pick up
very
some of those
early
cars.
day. We're talking like Gambala, Teckwrap, right? All their early Cayennes, their early, 996 turbos, their Carrera GTs. Those were very early days of automotive customization. Right?
Yes, they were at a luxury level, right? So if you're looking at it, it's super high class.
And a lot of those mods were just because, right? So we slapped carbon on it just because, we made it illuminated just because. We are in a completely different era. Yeah. Now we need functionality, we need quality. We evolved just like
anything else.
Yeah,
man.
just anything else. So
but,
things that basically were working out just fine in 05 wouldn't fly in 2023.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the evolution of that whole market. I mean, to answer most of those modders' questions that might have questions about, like, why are my services so expensive in this particular field? Even you, I think, were looking for a specific type of service one time in the past. And I've learned as time goes along, you pay for quality. You pay for someone who knows what they're doing. And you also pay for the comfort of saying, I dropped my keys here. You committed to getting this done. You said, this is the FU price. And I said, okay. I dropped my keys off. Now I know it's going to get done. Right?
So FU price is yesterday, right? So what I've learned And what I've implemented fairly recently, I just do open check, right? I don't even give you a quote. We log all the hours, and I charge you basically whatever it takes for my team, right? So we make sure that we're on the same page.
That's a
and
lot of trust.
And you trust us, right?
Yeah. That takes a
And
while
then-
to get to that level,
And
bro.
then I
easy.
log. So unless you want to do it that way, I don't want to do a project at all.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's wild. Most people are not going to sign up for that, but you don't need most people for business.
Which is absolutely fine.
And when you get to a certain level, you know that you're going to pay for this particular person's project, right? With me and him, he's still going to give me his price. God damn it. But no, I'm just playing. Most of the time, I actually don't, to be honest, I don't ask him. I say, I need to get this done.
Yeah.
Just get it done. Unless I'm asking for a specific client, that's different. Like he asked me for his clients, like, hey, my client's looking to do X, Y, Z. He gets a price, right? But if it's something for me personally, I don't care. I just want it done and you're doing it, right? So
I'm exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's stereo, upholstery work, any sort of mechanical stuff, I build relationships with people, and I make sure they treat me fairly. I never, ever ask for a price up front. So I know that I have a handful of people that I do it with, and they treat me fairly, and I'm bringing them business over and over again for years now, and I send all my friends and family there.
So with all these cars that you've modded or worked on, what's been one of your favorites? Like, what's a story behind one of your favorite projects?
One of my favorite projects. Well, we do a lot of Amazon vans. Those are very exciting.
Nice, nice.
Shout out to Jeff Bezos.
Is that
No,
because the
actually-
drivers don't know how to
actually-
drive, or what? They
Actually,
just hit
funny.
everything?
Yeah. They're tall, so they're funny enough. Majority of the damage comes basically from the upper 1/4 of the car, because they enter driveways and they hit overhangs and roofs and stuff like that. So it's all banged up on the edges up on top. But actually, funny, I brought it up because when people ask me, what do you guys focus on, and my go-to answer is we pretty much do everything from Amazon vans to Senna GTRs, and with Senna GTR probably being one of the most interesting and rare cars that we've ever touched. The owner had a little bit too much fun on the track. The vehicle did not come with PPF from factory, and yeah, it just came in for some minor paint work, but nevertheless, it was quite fascinating of a project.
See, but I respect that. You know, like, cars are meant to be driven. So the fact that, like, the owner bought that car at that price and still took it on the track and was like, yo, we gonna drive this car. I was meant to be driven. I respect
absolutely,
that.
that was good. And I appreciate you teeing up that project to do the full body PPF on that same car. So now that it is protected, but even then, you still gotta, I think, refinish certain things on there because, you know, the guy, like you just said, he does actually puts it through its paces.
Now,
which
is that the
really
same
cool.
car that you were able to work on as well?
As a collaboration project, I mean, we never really
Nice.
talked about it or noted it or put it out there for good reason.
Yeah.
And you know, there's certain customers you have to respect.
Oh, of
in
course.
certain
I just
decisions,
remember,
so.
like, you had one and I didn't know if it was same. So that's cool that you all, I love how much business that you all are able to, like, pair together.
Yeah, we gave him a 765 LT, a ACR Viper. I mean, there's so many cars we've shared back and forth between each other, and then he is.
I have another ACI Viper from that same group right now at the shop, waiting on parts.
There you go. And then he just sent us that S-Class last week, right? So that was a completely different customer. That wasn't a customer from our end to his. That was his end to us. And that's the type of relationship you want where everybody's supporting each other. And it's not a one-way, you know. I've worked with a lot of outfits that just make it one way. It's like we bring them business,
Take.
and then I never get anything back in return, right?
So everything you do is obviously, like, aftermarket modding. But you, on the other hand, when you get into the more upper echelon, high-end clientele that are, you know, you're getting up to 7-figure cars, are they doing more, like, aftermarket stuff, or are they just wanting to return it back to how it was when they bought it?
Yeah, those people don't touch aftermarket at all. Okay. So it's predominantly either refinishing because of some sort of a mishap, whether it's rock chips, I don't know, something happened in the storage facility, I don't know, transport, low driveway, whatever that might be.
Yeah. Those
Or
transport
that's pretty
things
much
Yeah.
it.
The
I
Sherp
don't see any
has
other.
a little bit of damage from transport. I mean, it's just a wild card to put on transport, right? So that chains certain things. It's hard to find a point to chain it. But my lady Stelvio Quadrifoglio, we shipped it for Gold Rush Rally from this coast to the, East Coast, at Miami. And over there is where, or we ended in Miami. I think we shipped it to Tennessee. But in that process, we noticed when it got there, like, hey, this wasn't part of the damage. So it happens in transport, and that was just her car. Luckily, it was wrapped, so it was protected, but still the wrap got pretty damaged from just whatever they were using as tie downs.
Yeah.
This stuff he probably deals with often because luxury cars, exotic cars are being transported across the United States at all times. They got to go to an event. They're not going to drive it. They're going to ship it. And so things like this do happen, and you're going to have to deal with it.
I mean, plus, let's be real, Caltrans is not doing the greatest job at keeping
Yeah.
the roads clean. So,
Roads. We just repaired
bunch
a brand new C8 wheel that got messed up during these storms. The wheel, he hit a pothole and damaged it really bad.
I'm sitting on a bent 20 right now.
Yeah.
And that's just like.
And luckily, he had it recorded. He had his little dash cam on. He's recording it. He hit the pothole, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And you can hear the camera.
Oh, you talking about VJ?
Yeah. So
Another one that we've already interviewed. You know what I'm saying?
He's got a podcast too. So go back and look at the VJ talking about his C8 and what it's like to own it. But he unfortunately had a problem just like a week or two ago, and we repaired that one. He's back on the road.
Yeah.
So we got to get him a brand new tire. That's how bad it was. But to speak on that, Caltran or other roads wherever you're at, it's going to have those problems. So. Refinishing, I've noticed the same thing. A lot of these guys that drive these crazy cars. As a matter of fact, one of my clients, who's Bruce, who's you're working on his cars right now, we've had his NSX, his 488, his whatever, on and on and on, his AMG GTR. Every single car he brings me is top of the line, like craziest specs, whatever. It's just really, really cool cars. But they are all bone stock. And we put protection on them, put a full front and clear bra, we put full body clear bra most of the time, all the carbons, even underneath the car he wants protected. If there's carbon there, windshield protection film, whatever we could do so he can thrash the hell out of it. And then when he does beat on something bad enough, at the track or whatever it is, and he drives them like they were designed and engineered to be driven. Right?
Yeah.
And then if something breaks, something happens, something needs to get painted, there it goes to your shop.
Very, very, very unpopular opinion. Car customization is a poor man's game. Because if you have the resources, you just spec it the way you want it from factory, day one, and you leave it as
I think
is.
there's something to be said there because there's most of us aren't that level. I'm not that level. So all my cars
neither
are
am I.
custom, right? Because I want to make it something that it's from
That's
somewhere
mine.
for me to play at, right? And I don't know if I'll ever get to that upper echelon where I'm just going to go golfing and get on a yacht and go to Monaco and do this, do that. I can dream, right? And wish for that. But I guess people at that level, they don't really think about, majority of them, not all of them. Again, this is a majority.
Yeah,
thing.
there is exception to every
There
rule.
are going to be people out there that got squabs of money that love to throw money and customize it, or they just have a passion. They grew up around it, or they came into their money, right?
For sure.
Which is most of the time, I would say, most people who really make it big, who didn't have money but came into money, they're still going to have that passion for car customization. But I do have to agree with you. There's a lot of people who were never into cars and build wealth, and then like, oh, I got money, now I can go buy a car. I never really had a passion for cars, but I'm gonna go buy nice cars. I noticed those types of clients don't customize. I could,
I agree with what you're saying, but I would respectfully disagree with setting the deciding factor to it being monetary wise, right? So if we're just going off of like, good, and I only say that because you say it's a poor man's game, but I would say anybody who's into customizing cars, it doesn't matter if you're going into the 7-figure vehicles or even high 6-figure vehicles or not. Like those people still customize cars. For example, right? He is a huge. Look.
Do you know him?
Yeah, it's hard not to know him in the Bay Area. But for example, like
No
he
comment.
likes. Hey, anywho. He likes
No comment.
customizing cars or doing whatever else. So then he has people work on cars, or he buys cars that are already customized to the liking that he has, but they're still custom vehicles. Then there's other people.
There's
as
a
well.
lot of them. I'm one of those people that customizes cars, right?
Yeah.
All my clients could, like, for the most part, customize cars. There's
Yeah.
a brand new G-Wagon downstairs. There's a Sherp right there that's getting customized, right?
Yeah.
Which is a $250,000 FU car. He's customizing it this duck camel
Which
thing.
that
Which
is
is,
not customization.
That is customization.
it's a
What do you
wrap.
mean? He's customizing it for his personal, like maybe not for street.
I don't think he's
You're not talking about
customizing
street.
it. He is
Yeah.
optimizing it
Okay.
for the use case.
Semantics. But anyways,
Facts.
it's still going through a customization process for optimizing it for a specific reason. I get that. The G-Wagon is the same thing, this, that, and the other same thing. So this is a cool polarizing controversy.
This is
now you're gonna have us on a
functional,
tangent.
right? So
tangent talking about
this is functional, right? Slapping Chinese carbon on a 10-year-old Ferrari is not functional.
Downforce.
I'm sorry, dropping a car on coilovers is not functional. A lot of people do that because they want the aesthetic of the car sitting lower, but it provides function, better handling, better cornering, the whole nine.
Yeah, that's not aesthetics though, right? That's more
It
of
is
a
a-
perform.
no, it's aesthetics for the
Look, I
reason
will
you
always
bought it.
appreciate a really good custom build. I go to SEMA every year since 2006, and I've been seeing all these crazy custom builds. And there's always a few out there that I'm like, damn, this is so clean. It could be an old Mercury. It could be a really cool, chop top. It could be whatever, right? But a lot of times I do gravitate to more of the classic custom hot rod style builds that are really, really cool.
Well,
and
that's
I
a whole
enjoy them.
different culture, right?
Doesn't
So-
matter. It's still car customization, right? And a lot of these wealthy people do play ball in that arena, and they customize cars.
That is almost borderline.
You don't
coach.
appreciate a nice
That's
Brabus?
coach. That's coach building.
Yeah, but you don't
Right.
appreciate a nice Brabus?
Coach building is customization.
Do I appreciate
say-
a nice Brabus?
Yeah, Brabus, build.
It depends on where geographically am I at.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in Los Angeles, absolutely not, because it's a
Everywhere?
sign of poor taste. If I'm in the area where I'm the only one, then potentially, right? It's the same as like American cars, right? If I lived
So
in
you just
Europe,
want to be the only one.
if
That's
I lived in Europe, I'd have a '67 fastback, right? Just because it's not native to the land, it's interesting, it's different. Living in California, it does nothing to me.
So this is where I would almost low key kind of get on your neck because
Please.
to me that takes away from
Yeah,
the,
it's
the
almost
culture itself. You care more about what other people think than about the car itself because you
I
want
care
that
about aesthetics in the whole environment, right? So it's not what people think. It's about the aesthetics of an item within the environment, not just in
because
the
you want
vacuum.
people to go like, "Oh, I don't see that every day."
No. It's not about what people say. It's about how it looks in that particular setup, in that particular setting.
Looks
right?
for
It's
who,
not
though?
about looks
Who's-
to me.
Oh, okay. I just want a clarification. This is the tasty subject because we're past our time, but no, I mean it's you bastard. Why'd you have to bring up stuff like
Hey,
this?
well, look, because even from a design, like even designers, right? So, like I've mentioned on almost every podcast, I went to design school, and when I went there, dude, like I went there because I wanted to be in the aftermarket scene. Like when I retire, I want to be able to open a shop that's maybe similar to yours, but it's focused more on the aftermarket side, which may not have as good of a margin. So that's why I went to design schools, because I love people like RWB and Liberty Walk and whatever the case may be. And then they're all like, shh, don't say that. And I'm like, wait, what? What? Why? And they're like, because a lot of the designers, according to them at the time, don't like certain customization parts because they're like, we spent all this time, all this creativity to design for people on the masses what we think is a great thing. And then now you're just taking away from our design and throwing other people's shit on it. So I'm like, that's crazy. So that's why I like bringing this up. I thought it was.
I mean,
about to be fire.
that's why we call ourselves a vehicle enhancement studio, right? Because we're enhancing whatever has been designed. But I completely get what your argument is. Your argument is that, let's say, a designer, Audi or Lexus or Porsche or Ferrari or Lamborghini or whoever, right? Or Kia, it doesn't matter. Their designers spend a lot of time painstaking molds and putting it on cars and looking at aesthetics and looking at body lines and taking and adding and deleting and doing this and restarting over again till they get to where they're like, wow. This is
So what
striking,
makes you think
polarizing,
some
beautiful,
hoodlum
blah blah blah
can
Wait,
go
let me
ahead
finish.
and make it better, right?
So I'm a hoodlum, huh?
and make it, something attractive, right?
Yeah.
But in the same context of aesthetic, when you get that car, and let's say there's multiple people get that car, that's a prized possession for you, but now you want to stand apart from the rest. You want to change the aesthetic because you don't want to be part of the same aesthetic in that environment. So you're changing it to be yours. Now you can do it tastefully,
Yes.
or you can do it distastefully, but that's completely in the control of that person and what they find to be attractive for themselves.
And that's why I tried to tell them.
That's why beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So there's a massive, like, in any type of thing that you look at, you have a general idea of beauty in that subject.
Yeah.
Whether it's people, whether it's things, whether it's whatever, right? And then if you step outside that general idea of beauty, it's polarizing now, and it can lean towards like somebody really liking it.
Yep.
Majority of people liking it, like, wow, that was a trend. That's a trend that changed something. Or it goes the other way where people are like, what the hell was this guy thinking? There's going to be a few people that still like it, but the majority of the people that stepped out of that box are going to be like, for that particular context, going to be like, this is.
And that's
way
what I
out
always
of
told them. It's like, we designed it to make it beautiful, but then I customize it to make it me. So
to make
now
it yours. It's
beautifully
personalizing
me.
something, just like you personalize anything in life, right?
To me, it's very simple, right? Do you have the domain expertise to make it better? Are you actually taking something that was designed by a team of professionals, right? And are you actually adding to it? If so, by any means, whether I like it or not, that's a different story. Personal taste, right? That has nothing to do with it. But are you actually adding to something that already exists, or are you taking away? Because if you're taking away, well, fuck you, right? But if you have the domain expertise, if you have the know-how, the knowledge, the skill set to make it better, by any means, who fucking cares what your neighbor thinks?
Yeah. But better is only applicable when we're speaking on functionality. Because anything
Well, I think what
aesthetic
he
then
was talking
becomes
about,
opinion.
the reason why he brought it up the way it's the way he said what he said. That's what was polarizing, right? But if I bought a brand new Chiron, right,
Yeah.
a brand new Bugatti Chiron, and then I went and put some aftermarket 3-piece wheels on it,
Great.
it would be cool.
Beautiful.
But the likelihood of it being engineered better than the wheel that was originally engineered for that car, that probably went through tons of testing for
Or
that
none.
specific car,
Yeah.
with the tire spec that it came with,
Yeah.
are the reason why it hit the miles per hour that it hit. Right?
That's what I was
Because
saying,
the
it's
rotating
different
mass of that
functionality.
wheel and everything else. So that's a function over form thing. So if you do anything to
Exactly.
customize the car to what he's speaking of,
Yeah.
in that specific regard of that type of car, that has no more real space to get any better
Yeah.
in function wear, and you try to mess with it, then now you're stepping back on the function side for the form side of it, right?
Exactly.
And that's where I think his argument comes into play.
That's where I'm really asking questions, right?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
So
Right?
you
And-
are
and
just
I'm
a function over form.
guy 8 days out of the week.
Yeah. See, and then I'll fucking get a Bugatti Chiron 3-piece, wheel that bitch and throw it on bags, and goddamn put a wrap on it that says King AJ. Fuck you, mean, bro. Like I'm doing. I don't care, cause like I'm a form guy. I like making it. I'm a unique guy. Like yeah. So Andrew Tate, right, was buying a Bugatti or was trying to buy a Bugatti, and he talks about the story of saying like, dude, I tried to buy a Bugatti and I couldn't fucking get one. They're sold out everywhere. He's like, I make all this money to finally get the car that I wanted. Turns out everybody already fucking got one. He's like, I'm thinking ain't nobody in the world got money. And the moment I get rich, turns out hella fucking people got money. So then it's like, if that's the case, all the Bugattis are sold out. How the hell am I gonna stand apart? Like I love making it me. You know, it's different, right? Same with my Audi. It's a cheap ass car, dude. It's a $20K car, but it's the only one that looked like that in the bay. All the other guys, all the other Audi guys are function over form through and through. But then people go to an Audi meet, they see my car and they stop. You know what I'm saying? So I like making things me, but I respect people who are definitely function over form. But that's a different conversation. But yeah.
Yeah, I get it. And you know what? To each their own. That's what makes car
100%.
culture different. Because if you go out to car scene, you know how many different car meets there are in the San Francisco Bay Area, right? Just in ours town, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And when we go on road rallies across the U.S., there's different towns you hit, and I see similar types of vibes.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone. If
Yeah.
you want the JDM tuners, this, that, and the other, and that whole thing with the fire exhaust, popping and all that kind of stuff, you have that. If you want the Euro guys only who are going to mess with the BMWs and Mercedes, you have that. Yeah. If you want the guys that are only going to bring out their Lambos and Ferraris to a specific type of meet, you have that. You have anything and everything, and then you have the super eclectic meets with everything. You have the rad era of the Rad House meets. You have the all that, which we'll be talking
love
about.
those guys.
Houses. Yeah,
Yeah, Rad House is great. Beyond City Limits, shout out. Bay Euros, Bay Area Euros, shout out.
We'll be talking, I think, Johnny from Rad House here shortly, so stay tuned for that interview. that'll be really cool talking to him about the car culture from his point of view. And maybe we'll get other people like Redwood and some of the guys at Haggerty, which I've known for a little while, that are doing really amazing things in the car space, to get over here and talk to them about what they've been doing over there that's really been shaking up the automotive car culture. But I absolutely agree with you. I love that era and period of cars, and there's just something cool and funky about that that's kind of grown over the past 5 to 10 years.
We
because
bumped
there
into
was
each other at the San Mateo meet.
Radwood. Yeah. It was one of those things that Radwood is an awesome meet that's only for 80s and 90s vehicles. People dress up in 80s and 90s apparel. They bring out stuff from the 80s and 90s, boom boxes, whatever it is. And they just kind of embrace that era, which for a long time was...
Somebody hold my cardboard.
Zero ego, just all good vibes.
Hell yeah, all good vibes. Everybody's chilling. Everybody's respecting everything. There's anything and everything that was made in that era, whether it's a Porsche, whether it's a Ferrari, whether it's a old VW Rabbit. It does not matter if it's in that era of the 80s and 90s. It's there, it's present, and there's just quirky stuff. And the awards aren't like traditional awards. They're like, holy shit, I've never seen this car. Or, wow, that's just a really well-kept station wagon. You know what I mean? And it's just more so about appreciating the preservation of an era that we consider to be rad, but for a very long
And
time
all the
it
period
wasn't.
correct accessories,
Yeah,
and this
dude,
and
you
that,
got
the
all this
ski rack, remember it was
it
this
was
year
cool.
they had some very interesting awards.
Yeah, so shout out to the guys over there at Radwood and our boy at Rad House.
One last thing, just because I know we're about to tap out here. That's one thing that I wish the Bay, maybe even California, I don't know, but the Bay, from my experience, was a little bit better about, was having events that incorporate more styles of vehicle. It's very cliquish out here. There's Euro meets, there's muscle meets, there's lowrider meets.
It's not like they only here though, bro.
Well, from my experience, like
It's on the
back home,
coast usually.
Okay, yeah,
big cities.
yeah,
You're gonna find this in big cities.
on back home and then through Texas, there's a lot more incorporation. Like you'll find lowriders bouncing with some tuners over here and then some muscles over here and then like exotics
We
as well,
have a
all
few.
the same meat.
So I would say,
The Alameda one.
yeah, Alameda
naval
one is
base
like
one.
that. The naval base where you have anybody, which is and the Haggerty meets Vault Auto Club. Those guys are awesome too. They have a very eclectic group of people that get together, and they're all really cool. It seems like they have all these owners that are coming together with different types of cars, brand new cars, muscle cars, this car, whatever, classic cars, and nobody really.
Because
I've never really seen any bad vibes from anybody, and it was just really weird to see that kind of like all these car cultures coming together.
The key is to keep it small, right? Like the naval base one got a little too big.
Yeah,
we're talking,
and it was that those shows were put on by different people, but I'm talking about the guys that put on like very classy.
Yeah.
You know, their promotions for the event is very classy. You know what I mean? And they're everything that they're putting out there is classy. So those types of meets are cool, but we do have a few of them, not a lot.
Yeah,
We have-
Oktoberfest
yeah.
was the closest that I've come, and that was a great meet. It had a single lowrider there, but it was sitting right next to some exotics cars, and then it had Euros. It definitely had some JDM in there, so that was probably the closest.
That was like 3 guys getting together to make a show.
Yeah, Johnny, Kevin, and Mike. So, or wait, nope, Callie Creeman. Johnny, Kevin, and Callie Creeman.
Yeah.
Sean is his name, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
they all those guys, which was Rad House.
yep, Bay Euros, Callie Creeman.
To be quite honest with you, I'm not sure how I feel about a concept of a meet to begin with, right? It's being function over form. I'd much rather go on an organized drive, right?
Which you have those guys too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just a small group, right? You go from point A to point B, you stop somewhere for lunch, you make it a theme, right? Whether it's a barbecue, it's oysters. We used to run to the Marshall store up north with a group of friends, right? Beautiful roads, spirited driving. You come there, get oysters, go back.
Yep. See, now that's also really fun. I love
really
those.
cool. So Vault does rides like that. Breakfast Club Rally, they do like rides like that. But it really comes down to what you're in the mood for in that moment. If you're like, damn, I got a busy ass day, but there's a really cool eclectic car get together here or there, and I can go over there, meet up some of my friends, grab some food real quick, and dip. Or I'm in the mood for, hey, I got actually an open schedule. This one actually has a drive that's attached to it. I'm going to go there, this and that. Or you just skip the meet because a lot of these guys have a meet and then a drive post.
Yeah.
Right? So you can just go to just meet at the end and just be like, I'm going on this drive.
See, now that's something I've never seen is the eclecticness mixed with the drive. That would be crazy.
That's
That's
BCR.
like a parade of cars.
Yeah, check out Breakfast Club Rally out here in the Bay
I
Area.
agree with him.
They
There's going to be some lowriders in there.
Bro, people bring everything.
Oh,
You
this
could have a
is gonna be
DeLorean and a brand new 911.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I
this
mean?
going to be lit.
And
See,
it's
this is what I
like,
want to see.
yeah, it doesn't matter. You know,
I'm not
and
sure about
everybody brings-
lowriders because lowriders are just driving a lowrider with a group of cars.
Yeah, it's
Well,
there's
they do it.
It's a challenge.
There's
They
a
do
meet
it all the
first,
time.
and there's
Yeah.
from the meet, then they go on the ride. Now, if you're low and slow, you're going to be in the back of the pack with the
Exactly.
other low and slow
Yeah,
cars.
but they're still a pack.
Yeah, and then you can go cruising. Now, would I take a lowrider on a carving road? Maybe that drives there. No, but
No,
if I'm
that's
going
different,
to Napa, because they do drives through Napa and stuff like that,
Yep.
I would maybe be more inclined for low and slow.
Yeah.
So something for everyone. The car culture has something out there for everyone. Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast here today, and thank you for the inquisitive questions, AJ. What are your parting words?
Well, thank
Last
you.
thoughts for the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what other people think. It's all about you. A car is expression of yourself.
Yep.
So whether you like slapping Chinese carbon on your Ferraris, airbags on Chirons, whatever that is, you know, if it makes you happy, do it. You know, there's gonna be people like me who's gonna hate on you, but who the fuck cares?
There you go. Very well said. I like the closing argument on your end.
Thanks.
At the end of the day, you do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Whether it's cars, whether it's this, whether it's golfing, I don't care. Whatever it is that makes you happy. But in the automotive world, yeah, there's going to be haters. But at the end of the day, even people who talk shit are still aware of the fact that makes you happy. So
It's now my goal to get a Chiron, bag it, bring it to you, let you hate just so I can go, well, where's your Chiron?
Do it.
Hey, again, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Leave a review.
Leave a review and share it with your friends. And as always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Much love.
We out.
Deuces.
Stay by curious.
Stay by curious.